You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Football, a comprehensive look at all this week's action in Big Sky Football. Now here's your host, Scott Gerard.
Welcome on in. It's another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. Conference play rolls on, and another great week of exciting football. I'm Scott Gerard, alongside Lloyd Cole, who makes the magic happen. We got a great show lined up for you. Northern Arizona head coach Jerome Sowers will join us here in just a moment. Portland State head coach Bruce Barnum will join us, and then Idaho State quarterback Tanner Goller. And in our final segment, we'll wrap things up with Craig Haley from Stats. It's time to recap the games from this past weekend. UC Davis quarterback Jake Mayer threw for 382 yards and 4 scores in the Aggies' 49-36 win on the road against Northern Colorado. Eastern Washington registered a 55-17 victory over Southern Utah to improve to 3-0 in league play. Tanner Goller completed 8 touchdown passes. That's right, 8. One shy of the Big Sky single-game record to lift Idaho State to a big victory over Idaho 62-28. Portland State registered a 22-20 victory over Montana at home. Vikings nailed a 52-yard field goal with 4 seconds left on the clock to seal the victory. And Northern Arizona picked up a win over Weber State, a big one, 28-24. Cal Poly left Sacramento State with a 41-27 road victory under its belt. Joe Prothero rushed for 128 yards and 1 score for the Mustangs. Big Sky still with 4 teams ranked in the top 25, led by Eastern Washington, jumped up to the number 3 spot. And with that, let's go out to the phones, welcome in the head coach in Northern Arizona, fresh off a big victory over Weber State, Coach Jerome Sowers. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Hey, crazy game on Saturday, but obviously you come away with the W. You defeated Weber State, a top 25 team at home. What's a win like that do for this year's team?
Well, it was a huge game for us. I mean, you saw 2 defenses really tearing up the offensive guys, and it was quite a battle. And the ball was on the turf a lot and was intercepted a lot, but sometimes that's the way it goes in this conference. And I think you saw 2 teams fighting to get an important win. And it was really important for us coming off a road loss against Idaho State, and they're showing how good they are. They're a good team, and I think that we lost some confidence in the way we were playing, and really felt like we needed to take some steps to remedy that. And I thought we came out more aggressive and did a better job against the run, and did a better job against just overall letting somebody dictate to us, how the game was going to be played.
Case Cookus was a big loss for your team, but it seems like you've developed more of a balanced attack after being a pretty heavy pass team. How has that evolved after the loss of that player, and how do you think you guys are responding?
Well, it's Daniel Bridgegad is our quarterback now. And, he doesn't have so much experience. He's a talented guy. He's got great mobility, and, he's a fine player, but he's inexperienced. And so we're worse when he's trying to press it and force things that aren't there. But when he's patient and following his reads and taking what the defense is giving us, he's been very, very proficient. So we're growing. We're a work in progress. I think we've got some guys on offense that can be productive. We can get the ball to them in the right situations, and so we're kind of retooling, our offensive look to fit Daniel's capabilities and what he does best.
Speaking of teams, keeping teams off balance, defenses are doubling and triple teaming Emmanuel Butler this season. How has he handled that extra attention, and how do you expect him to respond as the season goes on?
Well, we got to take advantage of that. If you spend that much attention, which he's got a lot of attention, that leaves less coverage in other areas of our game, and we need to be better at attacking. Where they've made sacrifices in numbers or in position by double coveraging or spending 2 guys on Emmanuel. And so I know Emmanuel wants to be contributing and wants to be playing, and every opportunity he's had, he's made some tough catches and some big plays for us. But while we're retooling our offense, it just hasn't been as smooth as it might have been if we still had Case Cookus in and we're still able to do what we're doing. I think that we've got an excellent opportunity in the second half of the season to really pick things up offensively. I think we've got running backs that are capable, receivers that are capable, tight ends that are capable, and when we get settled in, and the bye week right now really helps us get a chance to do that, then I think you're going to see a better football team and a better team performance as we approach the remaining games on our schedule.
Northern Arizona head coach Jerome Sowers joining us here on This Week in Big Sky Football. Here's a crazy number, Coach. Your defense leads the FCS in turnovers gained at 19. Now, I know a lot of coaches out there talk about wanting to create turnovers. Your team is actually doing it. How is that? How have you been able to produce so many turnovers so far this year?
I think the more consistent our guys are about being in the right place at the right time, when those plays present opportunity, you're able to capitalize on them. And I got to speak for the defensive coaches that are designing things to create quick throws, designing things to disguise coverage, to disguise blitz, and keep the quarterback guessing as opposed to getting into a rhythm. I think is the first step, and the second step is just having a sound and solid secondary linebacker core that understands how to play together and to help each other, and when a play does come your way, is to maximize that. And so I think our guys have been, sometimes you just get lucky and it happens, but really it's your best prepared players are the ones that are going to be in the right place in the right time, and if you create a missed throw and they're in position, that's how we've been able to capitalize. But it's an emphasis for our defense. Andy Thompson's done a great job with making that important to our guys, and I think we got great buy-in, and hopefully it continues.
Jalen Goss was named the Root Sports Defensive Player of the Week. From a guy that's coached a lot of offense, what did you see out of him when he had the ball in his hands running down the sideline for a score?
I'm not kidding you. For a brief second, he looked at the ball, with in the palm of his hand. He was kind of looking at it like he was shocked that he had the damn ball, and then he takes off running. And Jalen's a really a good athlete, and he's played D tackle in our system. It's a lot of rough and tumble, man. You're sticking and moving, and you don't get a chance to see the ball, let alone have it in your hands. And for him to get that's a great D-line opportunity.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the bye week, and, as we hit the midway point of the season, some coaches think that bye week comes at a good time. Some coaches want to keep playing. You mentioned this is at a good time for you. Why is that, and how do you plan on using this off week?
Well, our first 6 games were really taxing. I mean, they're good teams and physical teams, and, to be 2-1 in conference right now is not a bad place to be, given some of the games that we had to play. Anyway, so I think getting a week rest is important for our team. At the same time, we need some extra practice time to develop some things fundamentally on offense and defense, and we're going to take advantage of both. And teams that have had byes against us, I know that it's tough to prepare. They have more preparation time. They're able to throw a couple wrinkles that you haven't seen, and it's I realize that the loss and the rhythm of playing every Saturday sometimes can affect your timing. But to be honest with you, I think we're ready for a break, and we need to heal up and get some guys back in the lineup, and then we'll be ready to go.
Well, Coach, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Keep it rolling. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Northern Arizona head coach Jerome Sowers here on This Week in Big Sky Football. Take a break, come back. It'll be segment number 2. We'll chat with Portland State head coach Bruce Barnum straight ahead here on This Week in Big Sky Football. CenturyLink Arena plays host to the 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships in Boise. Postseason college basketball is back in Boise, and we have your front row seat to the event. The women's tournament will be held March 11th through the 15th, while the men's championship will take place March 13th through the 16th. The wait is over. 22 teams, 20 games, 2 champions. Don't miss your chance to buy tickets for this fun-filled week of basketball. Tickets are on sale now at BigSkyInBoise.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Welcome back. Segment number 2 here on This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Gerard. Hey, Pluto TV is your leading free internet television service in America. As part of that deal, the Big Sky Conference will air all of its live stream sporting events on Pluto TV for free, including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. Simply go to Watch Big Sky on Pluto TV to find games from several different sports, including, if you were on Pluto TV last week, you saw a 52-yard field goal for Portland State en route to their big win. Bruce Barnum, kind enough to join us. Coach, how are you?
Hey, Scotty, how are you?
I'm good. Always good to catch up with you. All right, so what's going through the brain in those final seconds when Cody Williams is lining up for that kick?
Well, first I wanted to get him as close as I could. So, being a great coaching move, I call inside zone and we back him up a little bit more. I've got him on the left hash, which they tell me that's the only hash he doesn't like. But I mean, what a great job by him. Interesting. I actually talked to him this morning on the practice field because they told me not to talk to him during the game. I guess he was just nervous as a squirrel in church. I said, well, what settled you down? He said when Coach Alec, when Montana iced him, he said that finally settled me down. I was ready to go.
Whew. Thank you, Coach Alec. You know, what's interesting, though, is because, let's be honest, kickers are a different breed, and you got to treat them a little differently. It's interesting. So you didn't say a single word to him before the kick.
Well, no. They told me to leave him be. I talked to him after the
kick.
There
you go. Awesome.
Just tell him nice job, nut, way to go. But I was proud of the guy. You talk about pressure situations. And he stepped out there and nailed it, and it was fun to watch, fun to be a part of. Tough to win in that place, you know that.
Oh, for sure. What did you what was the message to your team after that game into going in that kind of hostile territory against that team and coming away with the W?
Resiliency. I was proud of the resilience. We've been through some ups and downs, Scott. We were talking back in 15, and everything's, sugar and cakes, and, we are building something, and something like that is just like the battery on Iron Man's chest. It gave a spark, something we needed, just as an entire program. So it was good to come out of there. This morning's practice, I'm still on the practice field. This morning's practice was energetic, and they're anxious to build towards another one.
Can those individual games, and I think I know the answer to this based on what you just said, but those one individual games or those one individual moments, can they propel a team for the rest of the season?
Yeah, obviously as a coach, I'm hoping to. I know it did back in 15 when we beat Washington State. The confidence, you can't coach the winning side. That's a pill. That's a energy that you can't buy. So, you put that in, and our guys have that now, and you're hoping the confidence takes over on that next fourth down,
Charlie Taumapeno is legit. I mean, he's helped your team on offense all season long. Just how special of a player is he?
He's special. We didn't even have him that game. Another reason to be proud of the guys that stepped in after him, but he's got an ankle sprain. We should have him back this week, but he's fun to watch. He's huge. He runs like a deer. He just loves the game. He's a battery. He's a spark to our practice. Everything we do around here. He leads through what he does and his humor. He's fun to be around.
This league has been such a heavy passing league for so many years, but it seems like running backs are really starting to make a statement this season. What do you attribute that to?
Recruiting.
Yeah.
Everybody looks. It's scary when you get in those shootouts. Who's got it last? It's fun. It's fun. It's a coaching ploy, I guess you would call it. To try to run the football, try to slow the game down. I mean, we did it at Oregon. We're huddling now. We never did that shot.
Look at that.
Yep, we're huddling like old school, but we're slowing the game down. I'm not running as many plays, which that's not fun as an offensive coordinator. But neither is our opponent. So if you don't make mistakes, you don't turn the ball over. I see it as we have a better chance.
What's it like to change? Is that based on your personnel? Is it based on defenses? What do you attribute that to?
It's what you recruit to, You have to make a decision when you do that. When I was back at Idaho State many moons ago, we had no wind and a flat field and AstroTurf, so we said, let's get the best wide receivers we can in here, and chuck and duck, because we always knew the weather condition. We knew we were going to play fast, but but we've decided here we want to control some games, run the football. And I'm trying to get our defense more stout, and they're doing a heck of a job. They're the reason you and I are talking about that game. But that's how we're going to win a championship around here is the defense, not the offense.
So your Vikings face a very hungry Northern Colorado team on Saturday. What have you seen on film about their Bears, and what do you expect from that squad?
You know, they're bad. They're not a bad. They're not a bad football team in this conference. You know, the parity, I think, is just ridiculous. And same thing. Anybody can win or lose on a Saturday. You better have your team ready to go. But they've got a wide receivers playing really well. Their defense is one of the faster. You know, we played, three Big Sky teams right now, and I think they're the fastest defense we've seen. I'm talking the front seven, just as far as their pass rush and everything they're doing. So Coach Collins does a heck of a job, and we're expecting a battle. We're going to have to do everything right and take care of the football to get out of there with a win.
Well, just a personal note, I ran into Alex Caress's brother the other day. He said to give you a shout-out, say hi to you.
Great family, great kid.
It's a good family for sure. Hey, Coach, we appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend, and thanks for carving out a few moments for us.
No, thanks, guys. Sorry we had practice. I know you wanted me earlier, but I apologize for that, but got to coach this football team.
Yep.
Thank you for having Portland State on.
No problem at all. That's your number one priority, Coach. We appreciate it. That's Portland State head coach Bruce Barnum, one of our favorites. Vikings host Northern Colorado this Saturday at 2 o'clock Pacific. Take a break, come back, and we'll chat with Tanner Guller of Idaho State. In our next segment, we'll also announce our Root Sports Players of the Week. It's all straight ahead here on This Week in Big Sky Football. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for Big Sky action. The leading free internet television service in America will stream live sporting events, including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. Simply go to Pluto TV to find games from several different sports. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for all Big Sky action.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Welcome on back. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Gerard. Time to announce our Root Sports Players of the Week. Let's start on the defensive side. Jalen Goss led a Northern Arizona defense that held Weber State's offense to just 176 yards of total offense in the Lumberjacks' 28-24 victory. The defensive tackler recovered a fumble and returned it 30 yards for a score to tie the game. Also tallied 4 tackles, including a TFL and a couple of quarterback hurries. Cody Williamson, biggest kickoff of his career, came with 4 seconds to go. Biggest kick of his career. There we go. Came with 4 seconds to go. The game against Montana as he connected on a career-long 52-yard field goal to stun Montana 22-20. Williams is our Root Sports Special Teams Player of the Week. Also made field goals of 22 and 43 yards. He was 3 of 3 on the day. And Idaho State's Tanner Guller was named your Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week. Passed for 492 yards, and count them up, folks, 8 touchdowns in the 62-28 victory over Idaho. His 8 touchdown passes, one shy of a Big Sky record, and led the FCS so far this season. So with that, let's bring in Tanner Guller from Idaho State. Tanner, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. 8 touchdowns, man. That's a crazy number. Take us back through that game. How were you able to have that success that you were able to have in that game?
I honestly think it's just kind of how our offense is set up and how we operate. It's just if they load the box, we're going to have to make some plays in the passing game, and if they play light in the box, we're going to run the ball. So, they wanted to load the box, which you can't blame them with the running backs we have in James and Ty Flanagan. And, our receivers were making plays all day long. I mean, Mikey Dean had a few crazy catches early in the game that were just unbelievable and really got our momentum going for us.
So not saying that you weren't putting the ball in the right places, but are those receivers of yours the quality of receivers that can go up and get it even if you're a little off target?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, as a quarterback, that gives you a ton of confidence, knowing that you just got to put a ball kind of out there with Mikey Dean's speed. It seems like we always talk about you can't overthrow Mikey Dean. So sometimes I'll let the ball go, and it feels like I overthrew him, and what do you know, he's underneath of it by time it lands. And then just on the outside with Mitch and Devontae Horton, Matt Peterson, Tanner Connor, we just have guys that go fight for the ball. They're competitors, and if I throw it up there, they're really trying to go get it for me.
So, Tanner, I'm considerably older than you, but I grew up in southern Idaho, and when Boise State and University of Idaho were in the Big Sky Conference, I went to a ton of games in that arena. I know what it's like when those in-state teams come to play. What was it like now that Idaho's back in the Big Sky? What were the emotions, not only in that stadium, but in that city leading up to Idaho making its return to Holt Arena?
It was a ton of fun. We got a lot of good fans here in Pocatello, and it seemed like there was a little buzz in town, and definitely on Saturday there was it was almost a sellout. There was a lot of people here, and people were excited, which is cool to see. It's cool to have an in-state rival back in the conference, and to get a rivalry game like that, it was a lot of fun, a very good environment for sure.
It seems like you've really re-energized the fan base there. Holt Arena, has it been rocking all season long?
Oh man, it's been awesome. It's been really cool to see. Yeah, the fans are great. They're loud. It's just been a really cool thing to see in my last year, for sure.
You guys sit undefeated in league play. You are now at 3-0. What's the energy like in that locker room?
It's exciting. I think we have guys that have believed in ourselves from the beginning. I think it's not to us. We wanted to be here. We hope to be here, and now it's just how can we move on to UC Davis and hopefully get another win on Saturday. So
it's nothing that is coming at any real big surprise. You guys felt like this momentum was turning and you guys were heading in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah. With Coach Fennessy and the direction he's kind of put this program and the coaching staff and just following those guys' lead, Coach Ferreter, things like that, it felt like to us it was only a matter of time.
Were you keeping track of the touchdowns throughout the game, or did afterwards you look at that number and say, wow, I had 8?
Yeah, I didn't really know at the time just because, like I said, that's just kind of how our offense goes. So Every time we came onto the sideline, it was like, man, we just got to go again. Because it was a close game in the third quarter, so it was like, how do we keep putting points on the board any way we can, But towards the end, one of our other quarterbacks, Mike Goggins, coming up to me like, man, I think you have 8. I'm like, oh boy, I didn't realize that, but that's just kind of how it goes sometimes.
That's awesome. What's it like playing with your brother Mitch?
It's a lot of fun. We didn't know we would have this opportunity again, but to have him here and playing well at the receiver position and going to get some balls for me, it's been a lot of fun. It's something I'll definitely cherish forever.
All right, so let's take a look at UC Davis, your opponent on Saturday. What do you see out of that team, and what can you expect from this showdown?
I think they're very good both ways. Obviously, they have a good offense, and then defensively they're very solid. They're undefeated in conference as well, and they're ranked and whatnot. So I think it's going to be a battle. That's what we're expecting. We're expecting a tight one, and hopefully we can get it done.
I know that you want to keep playing as long as you can, but when you do hang up the cleats, what do you want to do?
I hope to stay in college coaching. I feel like there's nothing in the world that I love this much, and there's just something special about being a part of a team, a group of guys, especially the team I'm on right now. They've really made me want to just stay in this, because when you get a group of guys that work hard and care for each other, I don't think there's much better than that in the world. So hopefully after I'm done, I continue in the college football world and coach.
So pretty soon it's going to be Coach Goller then, is what you're saying.
I hope so.
Love it. Hey, Tanner, congratulations on the recent success. Keep it rolling. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you very much, sir.
Idaho State will play at UC Davis coming up Saturday at 4 o'clock Pacific. Remember, Root Sports, your official television partner of the Big Sky Conference, as Idaho State's Tanner Goller, your Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week. When we come back, it'll be the final segment of the show. We'll chat with Stats Craig Haley. We'll also note where you can find all the Big Sky games on Pluto TV this weekend. Stay with us. You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Football. The 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. The action continues with the Root Sports Games of the Week, featuring Idaho at Montana State. Kick off at 2 o'clock Mountain Time. The 11 Sports Game of the Week will feature Eastern Washington at Weber State, which is set for 4 o'clock Mountain. The rest of the games this weekend can be found on Pluto TV by downloading the app on your smartphone, tablet, or TV. Montana at North Dakota at 1 o'clock Central. Portland State will take on Northern Colorado at 2 o'clock Pacific time. UC Davis faces Idaho State at 4 o'clock Pacific. And Southern Utah will host Sacramento State at 6 o'clock Mountain time. All right, let's go out. Welcome in one of our favorites, FCS Senior Editor of Stats, Craig Haley. Craig, how are you?
Scott, I'm wondering how we're basically at midseason already.
It goes by fast. We wait all summer long, and then when it hits, the weeks go by fast and furious, do they not?
They really do.
All right, crazy week in the Big Sky. Few surprising losses around the league, and so let's go with what we essentially kind of go by game. Portland State gets the win over Montana on a 52-yard field goal. How surprised were you to see that Bruce Barnum and company were able to pull off the W?
Everybody was surprised. I mean, a truly great win for the Vikings. I mean, they didn't just go out and accept the idea that they were supposed to lose this game. And, as the underdog, you kind of have to get that first punch in, and they did throughout that first half. They even fought back when they fell behind in the second half. So, great win. I mean, I think on the other hand, if you're Montana, you can't forget this, but you can't dwell on it, too. You really have to move forward now.
So let's talk about Weber State. And you mentioned last week how Weber State had the hardest road ahead, and that was a trip to Northern Arizona. Wildcats lose to the Lumberjacks 28-24, and their offense really struggled against that NAU defense. What do you take away from that game?
Well, you're right. Especially, third downs this year have been a problem for Weber State. I mean, they've come to rely on Josh Davis, their terrific young running back, so much during. The offense was stagnant this one, and you're looking around for answers. I think they have to get the quarterback position right because there's so much talent there in the skills positions surrounding them at quarterback that they need more consistency and balance, and I think last week was just really bad showing for them.
3 undefeated teams in league play: Eastern Washington, UC Davis, and Idaho State. I think we thought Eastern would be there. The other two may be a bit surprising. What are your thoughts on that big Aggie-Bengal matchup coming up this weekend?
It's a great one. I mean, I wasn't quite sold on Idaho State before last week's game, but boy, were they impressive in that win. I mean, neither team here, has thrown in a clunker, which Montana learned is pivotal. You can't have that happen. And, you look at the season stats, and Idaho State and UC Davis are close in so many ways. I think if there's a difference, Idaho State's run game has been superior to UC Davis. They're going to go back and forth. I mean, you have to limit each other to field goals and get those stops, especially in the second half. I think I favor UC Davis just because they're home, but probably for no other reason because this is a really tight game.
Yeah, and Tanner Guller throwing 8 touchdowns, and we just talked to him earlier in the show. I asked him if he knew that he was racking up those, and he's like, I had no idea until I go to the sideline, and one of his backup quarterbacks goes, dude, you're at 8. How surprised were when you see that 8 come up on the board? That's got to be surprising when you're looking at scores from around the country.
Well, he was Stats Offensive Player of the Week, and I know down at Samford in the Southern Conference when they learned that Devlin Hodges, their quarterback, who threw for 580 yards and 6 touchdowns, they just assumed he'd be Player of the Week. But here came Tanner, and I mean his efficiency was so high in that game that he had the best performance of the week.
We talked a few weeks ago about the Big Sky being a 4-bid league, and I know that's the goal and the hope, but I want to talk about some of the teams not in the top 25 who are lurking. Now, we've discussed Idaho State, but Montana State's hanging in there. Northern Arizona's right there. They're not out of the running yet. Do you think one of those two teams could make a case for a playoff bid before it's all said and done?
Certainly. I mean, there are obviously a bunch of teams here in the playoff mix that the key is you have to keep winning games. I mean, and winning in the sense that, 3 out of 5 won't cut it. I mean, you have to win 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6. You have to be hot here down the stretch. Northern Arizona has that 3rd loss already, so that's a big factor in my mind. Obviously one is against Idaho State. Montana State has to go to Idaho State later this month. I mean, that game is huge. Really, though, it's about looking ahead, not looking ahead, and just going out and winning games week after week.
Well, hey, always a pleasure, Craig. We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to catching up again here very soon.
Thanks so much, Scott.
It's one of our favorites, Craig Haley from Stats. That'll wrap it up for us here on This Week in Big Sky Football. Big thanks to Northern Arizona's Jerome Sowers, Portland State's Bruce Barnum, Idaho State's Tanner Goller, and, of course, Craig Haley. Also, thanks to Lloyd Cole for producing and our executive producer, Denise Thompson. I'm Scott Gerard. Enjoy the games this week. Be back with you next one for another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.